All right, we are live.
Okay, we are live. Hello, everyone. This is the Apostate Prophet. I'm here as announced with Armin Navabi. We will talk about a lot of things like.
Hello.
What is going on? Do you hear that
Nothing.
sound?
Oh yeah, you have to mute your YouTube
Yeah.
because
Okay.
you mute your
Yeah.
YouTube. You open your YouTube, so you're gonna hear yourself.
Okay.
Yeah.
First time, guys. Sorry.
Don't worry, I'll let you know what to do.
Okay. It's done. As said, we are live here with Armin Navabi. We'll talk about Islamic Reformation, what's going on in Iran, religions in general, and so on. Armin, why don't you just introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Armin. Oh, okay. So I'm the founder of Atheist Republic, author of Why There Is No God, and co-host at a podcast called Secular Jihadists.
Great. I want to begin the conversation with talking about you first, so that people who follow me, who don't know you, also learn more about you, so that they can direct the right questions to you. So I think people are interested in that you are an ex-Muslim, how you are an ex-Muslim, about your background, your story from Iran to Canada, right?
Okay, sounds good. Let me just open the live chat here as well, so I can see your fans what they're saying. So yeah, I'm gonna have that open. Sorry. All right. So yeah, I was really quickly. I really don't like talking about myself much unless unless I get asked, and then I'll just try to power through it really fast. Okay. So ever since I was a kid, I always wondered about hell. As soon as I learned about the concept of hell and heaven and all that stuff, I was really obsessed. I got obsessed with it because, and I was because I think it was the right thing to do. I mean, they told me that this life is going to end, and then they're going to have another life, and that's going to be most of your life, right? Like this is temporary, that's eternal, and yeah, there's a chance that you're going to go somewhere and you're going to burn forever. Like holy fuck, how can I avoid that? And it didn't seem like most people really gave a shit, and it was weird that people didn't give a shit. Seems like, given that the consequences seemed of getting the answer to this question wrong is so huge, right? And I remember actually even as a kid crying about it at some point. And my aunt used to live with us, and she one time told me, "Don't worry, you're not gonna go to hell. Only the worst of all people are gonna go to hell." Like the rapists and murderers and people that kill, like and they're like, okay, fine, that's great. But my aunt wasn't really authority figure when it came to Islamic stuff. When I went to school, I actually learned the exact opposite. This was before I even went to elementary school. In elementary school, I learned that not only that's not true, most people are going to end up in hell. And not only just most people, most Muslims also are going to end up in hell, right?
Yeah.
And if you're not a Muslim, you're definitely going to end up in hell forever, right?
Yeah.
And I was, so this was not good news. I remember being very worried about my parents. I remember my parents not praying, not fasting. My dad, they drank alcohol and social occasions. I don't know how to switch my account. Oh, I can't switch my account. Shit. Anyways, too late. So, I thought, like, okay, my mom's gonna go to hell, my dad's gonna go to hell, I'm gonna go to hell maybe one day, because I thought, like, you know what, I'm gonna avoid trying to go to hell because I'm gonna be a good Muslim. But what if I change? Like, what if I become who I am today, right? So I was worried, like, I said, like, I could try to be a good Muslim, but I don't know what kind of a person I'm going to become, right? Like, I remember talking about this to my religious teacher, and they were like, just be a good Muslim, you're going to be fine. I was like, yeah, but what if I change, right?
Yeah.
One thing they were told us in school was that Ma'asum, right? Ma'asum means like sinless,
Uh-huh,
right?
uh-huh.
Pure, right? Um, in Christianity, everybody is born with sin, but in Islam, you're born ma'asum, like a baby is ma'asum,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
This
yeah.
is something I think Islam got better than Christianity, by the way, because it
Yeah.
makes more sense. I think one of the few things,
Uh-huh.
because like you're born a baby, you haven't done shit. Why am I with sin, right?
Right, right,
So
yeah.
in Islam, like until you hit the age of reason, there you have not sinned, right? Your sins don't count. Like you have two angels, they're like start recording your sins,
Mm-hmm.
but they start recording after as soon as you hit the age of reason. Until that, before that, you have like a clean book. There's nothing written there. Neither good. You don't have any good points, brownie points, and you don't have any sins written down as well, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And the age of reason is different for boys and girls. For girls, it's 9, and for boys, it's 15.
Mm-hmm.
They try to sell that to us as if this is like a feminist thing, like, oh, we think like women mature faster,
Mm-hmm.
but because they're smarter. But then later on, I learned that this actually has to do more with the age of marriage than them thinking women mature faster, right?
Uh-huh.
Um, so so that means that before 15, whatever you've done is not a sin, right? So
Yeah.
what happens to you if you die before age 15? You go to heaven, right? Um, all right. So I was like, okay, so if I just kill myself before age 15, I'll go to heaven, right?
I never thought about that.
The problem is that suicide is a sin in Islam, but not if
Yeah.
you do it before age 15, right? There's a
Well, before
loophole.
you reach puberty, yeah. Yeah.
This is a loophole in the fucking system,
Uh-huh.
right? Like I even wanted to make sure that I got this loophole right. So I went to my religion teacher. This was in Shahid Dasghab in Shiraz, right? Back in Iran.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, why wouldn't I just kill myself and make sure I go to heaven instead of like gambling heaven and hell, right? And the only answer I got to that, to why I wouldn't kill myself, is that because if you earn heaven, you go to a higher part of it. Like heaven has like layers. The best part is for martyrs.
Mm-hmm.
That's where Muhammad is, right?
Yeah.
And if you're in heaven because you died as a child, you just go to the like lowest part, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't give a shit. I take a parking lot over burning, even for at one point when I was a kid, I actually lit a match and I put it on my skin to see how much it hurts, and it fucking hurt. And I was
I
like,
believe that.
holy shit! Imagine that all over your body
Uh-huh.
for like 10 minutes, and then imagine that for a whole year. Imagine that for 1,000 years. I'm like, nobody can take that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And because they told us even the smallest sins will get you like 5 years, 10 years of hell. I'm like, I can't even take like a second of this on just one part of my body. Like, what? What the fuck? Right? I'm like, okay, I'm checking out early, right? Yeah, seriously. I thought, like, why is nobody else doing this? This is the obvious thing to do,
Yeah, yeah.
right? I'm checking out early. I'm playing this game that nobody even asked if I want to play. And if I lose this game, the consequences are so huge. I don't want to play this game. I rather just I don't care if it's the lowest part of heaven. I'll take anything over hell, right?
Yeah.
I'm not going to risk it. This is like the greatest gamble of all time. I'm going to take the safe bet. So I jumped out of the window when I was around 12 years old. I jumped out of the window of my school.
Mm-hmm.
I broke my left arm, both my legs. I had to have a surgery. I fractured my back. And I was in a wheelchair. I missed 1 year of school. And the only reason why I didn't try it again was because I saw what it did to my parents. Like I saw my mom just collapse in the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
I saw my dad cry for the first time. I didn't know my dad was capable of crying. And I felt like shit. And there's also this whole suicide attempt thing in Iran is like kind of like your mental, right? So I kind of tried to sell it as like, oh, I just fell, right?
Yeah.
But they didn't buy it because before jumping, I took out my watch and I gave it to my friend, right? So they kept on sending me to like shrinks and like experts. And I kept on trying to convince, because I didn't want to be like considered like this crazy person. Like that's like a huge taboo thing, right? This is why
Yeah,
people in Eastern countries have higher suicide rates, because there's a stigma associated with you needing counseling, right?
hmm
Um,
and also I think like social acceptance, like people care very much in that part of the world about how people look at them and what people think of them, I think.
yeah, I think that's human nature, though.
Yeah,
But
but I think
I
it's
think,
considerably
but
more there. I don't know.
no, I think here, like in the West, people just like, oh, counseling is just like one thing. It's like you go to dentist, you go to counselor,
hmm
right?
hmm
Over there, like, oh, you need to see a shrink. You're mental, and I don't know. But because I missed it, because of this whole me trying to feeling feeling like people see me like that, trying to, um, and also missing 1 year of school. Going back to school, I basically all my classmates were different, so I had no other friends. And this whole um, loneliness, and the fact that now I felt like I have to be a good Muslim. Fuck, right?
Yeah.
So when I hit age 15, I became really, really religious. And this is actually a very inconvenient time to make you take Islam seriously, because it's also around the time that you really start noticing girls, or
Yeah.
boys if you're gay, or boys if you're a straight woman. I don't know. But for me, if you if you start, for me, I'm like, okay, fine. I'll just don't miss a single prayer, fast, everything. Just don't sin. You'll be fine. But then all of a sudden, shit, this is not as easy as I thought. Because
Yeah.
remember, I don't know if this is how you were. How you were they this is that what they teach you, but
Indoctrinated. Yeah.
what they told us was, sins are not just for action, sins are also for thoughts,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So God can see what you're thinking, and if thinking about girls, then you're sinning, right? That's
Yeah.
zina,
Yeah. Yeah.
zina of the mind, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, we have an imam that actually even said that, something like that. I think it was Imam Sadiq or Imam Kazim, I'm not sure. But basically, I wasn't even doing anything, but I could see, I could feel God looking into my head and seeing my, like, I said, so disgusted of myself, right?
Yeah.
I felt like, how worthless can I be, that God gave me so much. God gave me this life, gave me healthy body, gave me parents that love me. I have so much, and I'm so lucky. And I'm such a worthless, disgusting human being that I can't even keep my mind straight, right?
Isn't that fucking awful? I mean, I remember for myself the same thing. Like, I became very religious. I was looking at myself, at my acts and my thoughts and everything.
Right.
And whenever I was getting in some way happy, I was constantly thinking, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? This is so disgusting. And I was
Right.
constantly pushing myself into depression. It's
Right.
awful.
So this is actually, it feels like psychological torment. It was worse than the match, right? But
Uh-huh.
the thing is that I feel bad for, I really feel bad for gay people under this mindset, because for me, I was thinking like, you know what? One day I'm gonna get married and it's gonna be fine. I could just, like, everything's gonna be fine. I can have sex as much as I want to. One day it's gonna be fine. Just keep it together. Don't think discussing that. You're gonna get married one day. Everything's
Yeah.
gonna be fine, right? But imagine if I was gay. I was like, this is my fucking life forever, right?
Yeah.
Like, imagine how disgusting you would think of yourself, of like, if the amount of shaming and disgust people have about being homosexual, and how disgusting you must feel about who you are if you are gay in that situation, and you thinking God can see in your mind, and seeing that, like that, I felt, I know actually most people there don't take any of this seriously, right?
Mhm, mhm.
But the people that do take it seriously, for them this must be torment. And I kept on apologizing, crying to God, asking for forgiveness every time, never again, but it will happen again.
Mhm.
And to be fair, I do think people that take it seriously are actually more intelligent, because
Yeah.
because they're putting two and two together. If this book is true, and if the consequences are this, I have to take this seriously. Like, how could, like, I don't understand moderate Muslims, right? I understand fundamentalist Muslim. I don't understand moderate Muslim. Like I talked to moderate Muslim. Okay, so this book is written by the creator of the universe, right? Like, yeah. Like, have you read it? No.
Yeah.
Have you read Harry Potter? Yes. Like, what? Like, you really, like, you think this is a book written by the creator of the universe and you have not read it? Like you don't pray? Like, you think, like, if I say, like, hey, I have, I don't know, this celebrity on the phone or this important guy on the phone, he wants to talk to you specifically, you're gonna answer? You're gonna be like, yeah, I'm gonna answer. What the fuck? Why would you want to talk to me? But I tell you, the creator of the universe wants to talk to you like 5 times a day, and you're like missing all of it. Like, the creator of the freaking universe, you have like a direct line with them, and you're not praying. Like I don't get moderate Muslims, right? I think fundamentalist Muslims are being true to their philosophy, and I like,
absolutely.
Yeah, and I think that's why there's more ex-Muslims coming from fundamentalist Muslims, because what we share with fundamentalist Muslims is that they care about what's true, right? So I don't know. I think there's a lot of the only difference we have is that they came to the wrong conclusion on what's true. But at least they care, This is why my discussions with fundamentalist Muslims is a lot more fruitful, because we don't dance around the meaning of the word zaraba or what, and that all that bullshit. Like, oh, we just read the verses and we know what they mean, right? So it's easier conversation to have with the fundamentalist Muslims than these people just dance around meanings and stuff.
Yeah, you know how many people there are around who still don't want to accept that the Quran in 434 says that you can beat your women. They're like, oh, that word actually means something different. It actually means send them away, or I don't know, separate, something like that. Only sources like I don't know, the Salafi, for example, the Wahhabis and the fundamentalists, for example, really admit what it means and what it is.
No, everybody admits what it means. You just this tiny fringe people are claiming that they represent the majority. Anybody that knows anything about Arabic knows exactly what that word means.
The majority accepts it, yeah.
Yeah, it's not the Salafis, and it's not the Salafis. It's not the Wahhabis. It's every single Islamic doctrine. The only people
I'm not sure about that, especially if you come from a moderate Muslim country like Turkey. I'm from Turkey.
That's not an Islamic doctrine. Those are just the fringe people that are not following any of the 4 schools.
But those are perfect moderate Muslims. That's what the West describes as moderate Muslim. Turks,
you're talking about the people versus the schools of thought. I'm talking about the schools of thought.
Oh, okay,
right?
okay. Yeah.
There's not a single Islamic school of thought that has considered this to mean anything else, whether Shia or Sunni. What you have is a whole bunch of people that are getting their idea or values from other places, not from Islam, and they want their Islam to match their values from these other places, right? And they're like, oh, maybe this means something else. For 1400 years, nobody considered this word to mean, oh, come towards to, or tickle your wife, or whatever, right? Yeah. For 1400 years, everybody knew exactly what this word means. All of a sudden, when we have new values, new higher standards, some people are like, hey, maybe for 1400 years, people got it wrong. Yeah, sure. I mean, if you look at the word, how the word is used, if you look at the hadith around it, everybody knows exactly what the word means. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and the most respected scholars, like Ibn Kathir, for example, repeated it multiple times. That means that he explained how to do it and why it should be done and stuff like that. And now some people just want to come up with, well, that was all wrong.
This is how. Okay, if you know about English, right? If you understand English, and if somebody says, writes a sentence like, "If your wife doesn't listen to you, strike her," right? Yeah. And then somebody comes and say, this is talking about baseball. This is because if you look at other places, strike is used in baseball. It's used like strike 1, strike 2, strike 3. Look, it's used. This is what it means. And if you know English, you're like, no, this is not talking about baseball, right? Yeah. This is talking about hitting your wife. So you as an English speaker would know this is talking about hitting your wife. So the sentence is, if your wife doesn't listen to you, strike your wife, right? Yeah. So you're like, okay, this is talking about hitting your wife, right? But somebody that somebody that doesn't speak English is trying to convince other people that don't speak English that this has something to do with watching baseball with your wife. You were like, yeah, that's nonsense, right? And this is why I think like this whole reform movement is not even for Muslims, because any scholar, any Arab speaker listens to them and like, no, what the fuck are you talking about? We know what this means, right? This is mostly for people outside of the Islamic community to try to sell this a PR front for Islam, right? To try to sell Islam as, maybe there's some kind of Islam that we could live with. Like, this is why the Islamic reform movement has no following within the Muslim community. It has its following comes from atheists mostly, right? Atheists that are hoping like, oh, maybe Muslims are not ready for atheism. Maybe they need Islamic reform, right? I'm smart enough to get that this is all bullshit, but these people are too dumb. Let's just give them something that maybe they won't blow themselves up, right?
Well, let's talk about that. I mean, I noticed that you talked a lot about reformers and Islamic Reformation and what you think about it. And you also had a talk with Imam Tawhidi on your podcast, I think.
Right.
I don't know. I just see that there are some people outside, like Imam Tawhidi or maybe Majid Nawaz, if you want to count him in that. But those people are usually on their own. Like, no Muslim really likes them and supports them. What do you think about all that reform stuff? And
it's all nonsense. First of all, their audience is not even Muslims. They're talking to non-Muslims. They're selling their reform movement to non-Muslims. If you want this to work, you have to find a way to talk to Muslims. And if you go to Muslims, right, if you tell them that verses that clearly mean something else, nobody's going to take you seriously. Okay. This is the whole argument of the reform movement. Hey, maybe these verses we could make it to mean something else, right?
That's such bullshit.
That's such bullshit, right? I mean, at least we're being honest with them. See, this is what I don't like about the atheists that support the Islamic reform movement. I accept even Muslims that support the reform movement, because at least they're thinking they're supporting the truth. Atheists who support the Islamic reform movement, they are knowingly lying to people. They know this is a lie, and they're still lying, and they're still feeding it to other people. You're basically trying to replace one bullshit with a different bullshit. Because you're so selfish, because all you care about is the harm to you. You're not thinking about them. You're not thinking about the people that are being conned. You don't think that they deserve to be talking to directly and be told the truth. You think they're too dumb to even to handle the truth, right? Right. So you're like, okay, you can't handle it. Let me just feed you a different version of a fairy tale. As long as I'm safe from you barbaric people with this version of fairy tales, I'm fine. I don't care about how it's going to impact you. And the thing is that you can't really actually control people like that. The fact is that if you don't give people the tools to recognize bullshit from reality, where that bullshit is going to take them is not really your choice anymore. You already removed the only control you had was the filter of recognize the bullshit radar, right? That's the only way you could have introduced a filter to them. When you remove that filter, when you pass that, there's no other filter. When you remove the bullshit filter, the fact that most Muslims are peaceful has nothing to do with you selling reform arguments to them. These people are just better than Islam. Muslims on average are better than Islam. The reason why most of them are not killing people is because most people are nice. It has nothing to do with you selling reform arguments to them.
Yes, absolutely. I think the cultural Sufi influence in some countries also has a lot of impact on how Muslims behave. I think if you look at countries like, I don't know, if you look at countries where Sufism and mysticism was more influential than other doctrines of Islam, radical ones, people are usually more people use Islam in a more peaceful way. Like,
actually,
they don't want to accept that.
Sufism is a good example because it seems peaceful, and for the sake of peace we could say like, hey, let's support Sufism because it seems more peaceful.
It is not peaceful. It's not peaceful. It just seems peaceful.
It seems peaceful, and it's utter bullshit. But let me give you an example first, and then I'll go to Sufism, right? Let me give you actually two examples, right? One example is like, let's say, the zodiac signs, like people looking into stars, trying to figure out what your personality is based on when you're born. That's utter nonsense, right? But how many people have been killed from that? Like, I think zero, right? Nobody has been the cancer people haven't been going after the virgin people for and killing. There's no jihad in that, right? So nobody's dying. It seems nonsense, but it seems like it's harmless nonsense, right? But if somebody believes in that and you don't challenge them on that, these are people that don't have a bullshit radar, right? And if you don't challenge that, when you allow people to believe in bullshit, you don't have control over what bullshit they believe in. These would be the same people that might believe that vaccines cause autism.
Yeah.
Right? And that's a harmful view to have, right? You're putting children at risk. So when you see bullshit, just fight it, no matter how many death counts it has, right? In a story that I came up with is that, let's say there's this doctor, right? And she goes to this village and there's a disease that is spreading there. And she comes up with a medicine, she makes it herself, and it's effective. And she tries to sell it to people, and she tries to get them to buy it from her because she needs the money to make more. To sell it to them, and nobody's buying it, right? Let's say she comes up with a story. Okay, she's like, I went to the forest and there was these fairies. They told me that they know the demons that spread the disease, and this potion that is the only way to get rid of this disease. She comes up with this story, and now people are lining up and buying her medicine, and people get cured. And you're like, well, good, that was a useful lie. She leaves, right? She saved the village. But then after she leaves, there's a whole bunch of other people show up and like, hey, look, I'm also the fairies in the forest now that everybody believes in. They gave me this potion, and now they're selling water, right? They're selling water and they're charging people. But then it gets even worse. Somebody comes and it sells poison, sells some drugs to people because they're raising an army and they need people to be mindless idiots. So you're like, hey, fairies in the forest, they also gave me this. You spread the bullshit and now it's being taken advantage of, right? If she had spent the time to educate people, maybe had some chalkboard there and explain to people how did she came up with the medicine, why it works, she might have sold less medicine, but it was worth the long-term investment. You know what I mean? If you actually educate people, right? In the short term, it might have seemed that it was the easier way out, but in the long term, when people don't have that tools to recognize bullshit from reality, the long-term investment is not going to be, the returns on that is not going to be as much as equipping people with that radar, right?
That's a great example. I'm still stuck on that.
Here's the thing: the Sufi example is such a great example because Ghazali, right?
Yeah, sure.
He is a Sufi guy that basically brought back Sufism to popularity because
he's one of the biggest,
the biggest. Well, it was dying because he's the one that tried to marry that with the philosopher. Like, okay, so he basically made it seem more intelligent than it was, right? He revived it, right? He is responsible for ending his bringing back of Sufism is responsible for ending the chance of the Enlightenment movement in the Arab world, right? The Arab world was going through an Enlightenment movement. It was about science, it was about philosophy, poetry. There was people openly were challenging Islam. People openly were mocking the Quran in the heart of the Islamic capital, okay? Without getting executed and stuff, right? There was the era of medicine and science and all that. And this motherfucker was this Sufi guy, this guy that was anti-science, anti-logic, pro-Sufism, pro-mysticism, is responsible for ending that era. Okay? Another example I have is Shiism, right? Before the 1979 Islamic Revolution, the only way that you could bring Shiism into politics was to claim that you're the Mahdi.
Yeah.
Even the Safavites did that. But the reason for that is, I mean, Shah Ismail of the Safavid. But the reason for that is that the Shias believe that you can't have Islamic government until the Imam Mahdi comes back. So this is actually a difference historically. This is a huge difference between Sunnis and Shias. Okay, so throughout history, Sunnis kept on conquering and just land, and then you're just like, wow, we're doing so well, right? God must be on our side, right? So their idea was like, whoever is winning, whoever is conquering, whoever is dominating, that's the sign that God is on your side, right? Because that's what they were doing, right? Shias were like, we're being, everybody is mean to us. They're killing our leaders. We're being wronged. We're the victims. God must be on our side. So Shias, ever from the followers of Ali and his family, ever since Hussein was murdered, their ideology kept going around, God is on the side of the victims. God is on the side of the wronged, right? So you're on the right side of history when you're wronged, when you're being when people are cruel to you, right? So it was completely the opposite of how Sunnis saw the world, right? But things changed. First, after World War I, Sunnis lost their Khalifa, the last Khalifa, and they were like, "What the fuck? What's going on? What are we not on God's side?" And there was like, "What did we do wrong?" It was so humiliating, right?
But the Sunni world actually wanted that, except the Turks. They actually wanted that. The Arabs, especially.
Well, you're talking about people in the Muslim world or the Islamic, world. So that's two different topics, right?
Well, even leaders. I mean, even tribal leaders. I mean, they did this.
No, I'm talking about Islamic leaders.
Okay, fair.
Right, and I'm not talking about secular people that are looking into politics and power and stuff, right? I'm talking about the Muslim Brotherhood people reaction to it, or the religious people that didn't have a Khalifa anymore. And then you had the 6-day war, which was so humiliating, right? It seems like all the glory and all the power that Islam has was gone, right? And you have in the Islamic world, I'm not talking about the Ataturks of the world or the Reza Shahs of the world. I'm not even talking about the House of Saud. I'm talking about the House of Wahhab. But I'm talking more about the House of Wahhab rather than the House of Saud, right? They want Islam to come back to its glory days, right? And the reaction to the fact of what did we get wrong is twofold. There's two responses to that. In the Sunni world, they're either like, the reason why we're weak now is because we moved away from Islam. So we need to go back to our roots. And that's usually, every time an ideology gets weak, you have two reactions to it. You have the radical reformists and you have the pragmatic reformists, right? So the radical reformists are like, we need to go back to how we used to be. The pragmatic reformists are like, let's look at who's strong and let's copy them. Right. So you had people in the Islamic world like the Ataturks and the Reza Shahs are like, we need to be more like Europe. We need to be more like the West, right? Because they're powerful. Let's just copy them, right?
That was the main objective,
Right. And then you have other people like, no, you have the Muslim Brotherhood being created. They're like, no, the reason why we're so weak, the reason is because we're not following the Quran anymore. This is why God is not on our side anymore. Okay. So Sunnis were lost power, but the Shia world was the opposite. In the 1979 revolution, all of a sudden they were in government. I was like, I thought we were not supposed to be in government until the Imam Mahdi comes out. So here's what you do. What do? You come up with a theological solution. You come up with the concept of vilayat faqih, right? You're like, okay, actually, we got it wrong for 1400 years. What is supposed to happen is that the imams, the vilayat faqih, they're supposed to hold the government for Imam Mahdi until he comes back, right? And this is what my problem is with bullshit, is because it's so flexible, right? It's not as flexible as what people think, because there's some internal logic and rules in Islam and Christianity, but it's more flexible than fact. When you have magic on your side, you could just play around with it. You don't have to explain shit. You could just make up stuff when you need it, right? So the thing is that people thought like, oh, Shiism seems secular because they're saying Islam needs to stay out of government. Well, yeah, it was secular until they didn't want to be secular anymore, right? But like when you're not limited to facts, then you can explain everything away, including genocide, including rape, including slavery, including wife beating, right? Because you have more flexibility than people are dealing with facts, with actual results, with logical conclusions. So don't support bullshit because you think it's harmless bullshit. When you're supporting bullshit, when you allow people to believe in harmless bullshit without evidence, you're allowing them to also believe in harmful bullshit without evidence.
I'm glad I don't support bullshit.
Yeah, just say no. Just say no to bullshit, no matter how the body counts.
Yeah. Another thing about Iran, you talked a lot about the Mahdi prophecy and stuff like that. How much is that engraved in the Iranian system, in the education, in the government, and so on? What did you get from that? Like, do they still indoctrinate children at school with this idea that this country is for the Mahdi or something like that? How far does it go?
Yeah, of course. I didn't think there was any other types of Shias until I left Iran. I'm like, what? There's Shias that don't believe in 12 Imams? Like, what the fuck, right? Yeah. I thought there was only two types of Muslims. People that accepted the 12 Imams and people that didn't accept the 12 Imams, which are idiots that didn't listen to Muhammad. They just thought the Khalifas were there. People like, what the hell? Like, people are like, obviously, the 12 Imams are the correct choice. But here's the thing, though. Is the question if are people taking it seriously, or is the question is that are kids being indoctrinated?
How much is that in the education? How much are children like indoctrinated by the system about Mahdi?
Well, it's part of your standard curriculum. You have adabiyat, which is literature. You have math. You have science. And when you go into high school, the science gets divided into physics, chemistry, and biology. And then you have 3 different classes. So when you're in elementary school, you have only one subject, which is called Dini, which covers Islam, which means religion, right? But then when you get into high school, there's an in-between elementary school and high school, which is called guidance school. And then when you get into high school, there's 2 other subjects that gets added to that, which is Arabic and fucking Arabic. And then Quran. So you have 3 different classes that are kind of religion related, right?
Yeah.
And you learn Arabic for so long, even though it's not your language. And it's weird because I aced every single one of my Arabic tests, right? But I can't speak a single sentence. You just learn how to pass exams, basically.
Yeah, that's usually how it is in Turkey.
Yeah, I mean, and the fact that we learn how to pass exams without learning how to speak Arabic shows you a lot about how seriously people took their Dini classes as well. Like, just because people are learning it doesn't necessarily mean like you actually learn to hate it because you think like, when am I going to use this stuff, right?
Yeah.
Right. So you think like every time. Here's what I think they did wrong. The fact that this was forced on kids and the fact that they have to take tests on this. Kids hate exams, right? And you hate exams, but you've been told like, it's tough, but it's useful. You're gonna need it one day. You know, these are useful skills to have. And then you look at Dini, which is the religion class. You're like, when the fuck am I gonna need this, right? So they're basically teaching you to hate it even more. Like, if you want kids to start hating something, just turn it into an exam, right? And then add upon that, you know, every before going to class, we have to listen to the Quran, right? So imagine in Tehran, or it's either really cold in winter, really, really fucking cold, or really, really fucking hot in summer, right? So when you're going to school every fucking morning, you're standing outside, you're either shaking or you're sweating. I can't wait to get inside the classroom, and somebody's reading the Quran.
Seriously, that's what they do? I never knew about that.
Yeah, so for 12 years, they're educating you. They're teaching you to like, when the fuck is the Quran reading going to finish?
What
right?
the hell?
So you're basically teaching kids that and the Quran reading ending, which is in Arabic, which none of us having a fucking clue what the guy is saying, right? Because it's in Arabic, and we speak Persian, and so you're training kids to hate this shit, right? And another thing I remember is when I was in elementary school, the azan, the Maghrib azan time is usually at the same time of the cartoon.
The call to prayer, yeah.
So you're watching kids' cartoon, right? And your homework is not finished yet, because when the cartoon starts, you're like, break time, I'm gonna stop doing homework, I'm gonna go watch cartoons, right?
Yeah.
And then you're just watching cartoon, and in the middle of the fucking program, it just cuts the cartoon and it starts saying Allahu Akbar, like, oh fuck. And then your mom hears the azan, which is the call to prayer, and like, oh, your mom hears that the cartoon is over, so like, Armin, homework, and like, so you learn that the call to prayer means cartoon time is over, right? So you start hating this shit, right?
That's the best way to make you hate them. Yes. Right. Seriously,
right?
What the fuck?
Well, and then you turn into a teenager. You learn that you can't go out with girls, and girls learn that they can't show their hair, and like you don't want to express your sexuality, and you get arrested sometimes. Sometimes you don't. Sometimes you do, depending on the political climate at the time. And you're like you're basically making people. This is why in Iran you have such hatred for Islam among many people. It's not even health. Like, I hate Islam, or I'm fighting against Islam, but these people like fucking hate Islam, like obsessively, right?
What do you think about it? Where do you think that will go? All the resistance to Islam that happens recently. Do you think that will have a great impact on Iran, or?
Well, I mean, some of it has gone to such hatred that is. Okay, so there's a lot of rational hatred in Iran against Islam. Okay.
Understandably.
Yes. Some of them have gone a bit extreme in a way that. Okay, so in Iran, there's a big problem that I have with a lot of people in Iran. And I know I often lose a lot of support when I say this, but this is the reality. And I'm not going to just not say it because...
Say it.
Yeah. No, I always say it. I never shy away from it. But I always say it, but I always mention that a lot of people that support me from Iran, they abandon me once they hear me saying this. There's a lot of racism in Iran, okay? And it's huge, okay? And people that are against it know what I'm talking about.
Towards Arabs, or?
Towards many people, but especially Arabs. Yeah. Especially Arabs. Above all else. In fact, it's the one thing that unites the entire country together, both the religious people in Iran and the non-religious people in Iran. This is something that unites them. Their hatred for Arabs.
I heard that so often from Iranians themselves.
Yeah. And the religious people, they justify their hatred for Arabs by saying they're mostly Sunnis. So they try to sell it as an ideological thing. The anti-religious people in Iran, they hate Arabs from an ethno-nationalist kind of way. Like, most of these are... So here's the thing. The movement against Islam in Iran, the one that I want to see grow more is the atheist movement in Iran, because most of them I seem very rational people that have problems with the ideology, but not with the people, and all that stuff that and I know, right? But the stronger force against Islam in Iran is the nationalist, the Iran worshipping, ancient Persia glorifying type of people.
Yeah.
And these are the people that basically see Islam as the religion of the Arabs.
Yeah.
And Islam as an Arab invasion of the superior Persian culture. They see Iran's religion as Zoroastrianism, some of them, right? They see that, they think they glorify how amazing Iran was before the Arab invasion. and yeah, they think that Islam is the religion of the Arabs, is the and the Arab people. So their anti-Islam hatred is basically, they mix it with, they see it as an anti-Arab thing, right? They see Islam as an Arab invasion, and they think that the Arabs are, by nature barbaric people, right?
I've seen such people online. Like when I left Islam and went online first to see what other people say about Islam, I saw that a lot, that there are like these Persian, like those calling themselves Persian especially, and then with Zoroastrian icons and stuff like that.
Right.
Saying extreme stuff about Arabs, like unbelievable stuff about Arabs.
Right. And one thing I tried to do is to introduce them to Arab atheist activists, to be like, look, guys, we're on the same side as these Arabs are victims of Islam as much as Iran has been, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, some of the in the protests that I was listening to, some of the chants were, "We are Aryans, not Arab worshippers." Right? I mean, Iran means the land of Aryans. Right? My name Armin means the protector of the Aryan land.
Seriously?
Yep.
Wow, that's nice.
All right. So they say we're Aryans, not Arab worshippers. Another chant that was popular was, they say everything comes from God, but all our problems come from the Arabs. That was a popular chant in there. Yeah.
Wow.
So, yeah, they see the imams, the religious leaders in Iran, they see them as traitors because they're not Iranian anymore, because they are Arab puppets. They're puppets of Arab imperialism.
Do they want the Pahlavis back?
A lot of them do, yeah. And I see stuff like people saying that when we come back, we're gonna burn every imam and their wives and their children. Like,
fuck?
Yeah. I remember listening. I mean, again, this is not all. Not all. Okay.
Yeah.
Just right. Don't hate on me for portraying this. But come on, people. Anybody that in Iran, they know racism is a huge problem. They must know racism is a huge problem in Iran. And I remember this girl saying, one of the in the green movement protest, not the recent ones, right? The earlier ones. I remember her calling to the radio show, the anti-regime radio show in LA, and she says she was so excited. She was like, I took a knife and I went to a religious person. I just stabbed him. And she was so happy. And she's like, I'm gonna go find another religious person.
What
I'm like, oh my god. I'm like, oh my god. But but some people are like this is what some people say, are explaining it, and I'm just like, be careful when you're explaining it. Don't go as far as justifying it. Some people are saying these people have had it up to here with Islam. This is why they're reacting like this, right? And just saying this is why is an explanation, but not a justification. Please don't cross that line, right? What did the live chat think about what I'm saying?
Oh, they mostly agree with you, I think.
I should have paid more attention to the live chat.
You just mentioned racism in Iran. Don't you think racism is generally a huge problem in the Middle East? I mean,
it's a problem everywhere, but apparently people in the West think that white people have a monopoly over racism. They think it's a...
No, I don't understand it. I mean, I spent 16 years in Germany, more than 10 years in Turkey, and I'm in America now. And I don't know, when people say about white people that they are racist, I think, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, go to the Middle East, spend a year there, be honest to yourself, and then come back and talk about racism.
It's the norm. It's weird. I mean, I think it's weird if you don't, like, I don't know how much has changed, but I remember when I was arguing that maybe we shouldn't talk about this, about Arabs, I was like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, this is like, it was considered odd to be saying that maybe Arabs are not inferior, right? Right? It's like they call them alligator eaters. Like, they're so barbaric to eat alligators. I don't know why that became a norm to call them that, but that's what they call them. Even the people that hate the mullahs, right? They say, like, so I heard my own uncle one time say, these fucking mullahs, they're so bad. but they're much better than the Sunni mullahs, the Arab mullahs, right?
Yeah.
Like, there's so much, like, they like, I don't know, anyways, they have this, they when it comes to Arab, this is why Iranian government used to have, like, always was, how you want to unite the country, this is a tactic that many countries use. You use an external enemy, and you're like, boogeyman, I protect you against the boogeyman, let's unite against. So, like, you have problems at home, you distract it. It's a standard tactic. I learned it as a kid, when when I read Animal Farms by George Orwell. And after that, I saw it everywhere. But Iran always used, at some point, used Iraq. Iraq was already there. You didn't need to invent that. Then you had Salman Rushdie. Then it became United States and Israel. The problem with United States is that a lot of Iranians love Western culture, so it wasn't a very good unifying external threat to unite people against. But then Saudi Arabia became the enemy, and that's the most useful enemy, because that's nothing unites Iranian more with each other than having Saudi Arabia as the enemy, right?
Yeah, the political enemy. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's the same thing maybe in Saudi Arabia. Having Iran as an enemy has given Ben Salman a lot of authority to do a lot of shit, to get away with a lot of stuff that he wouldn't be able to, like, I'm gonna, like, boogeyman Iran, and Iran is like boogeyman.
That's always a justification. If you have an enemy as an image, it's always
you
always a justification to do all the shit that you want.
Yeah, like, fuck security. Like, I'm gonna grab all the powers now. The military now, like, all the princes go to prison. Like, oh, people are like, I'm gonna protect you against Iran. These are extreme situations. People extreme. We have Iran. Iran is dominating all of the Middle East with the Shia crescent, and, like, we need to do this. Sorry, guys. Sorry, but we have to take extreme measures. So it works. It's all this trick in the book, and it works.
Yeah. I want to talk with you about something that I find very, very annoying. That's probably one of our last subjects. The atheist community. I mentioned it in my last video, or that one, or the one before, that I found myself in the atheist community after I left Islam, and but after a very, very short time, I felt heavily betrayed by those people, especially by politically left-leaning people in America, because they constantly have this thing, like, they pretend to be against all religions equally, but there is always this little thing, those little people who come up and say, please don't mention Islam, or why do you single out Islam? What do you think is happening? I mean, why is there such a sensitivity for Islam, even among, like, atheists?
This is not the problem with the atheist community. It's a problem everywhere, right? And the thing is that the atheist community has grown so much that the problem that we have with everybody, it would be weird if we didn't have that problem within the atheist community, right? It's a big community.
Yeah.
A lot of people are like, oh, I thought atheists were supposed to be smart and logical and blah, blah. Like, really? Did you expect that? You're not one of the logical ones if you expected that, because this is such a huge group of people. What did you? There's nothing that we share other than the fact that we lack belief in God, right?
Yeah, let me correct it. I don't even call them atheist community. I don't see myself as a part of them. It's bullshit.
I do. No, I see ourselves as a community. We don't have to be the same on everything to be part of the community. The example I give is like the gay rights movement, right? When you had the gay rights movement, the only thing that they shared within the gay rights movement was that they were gay or supported gay rights, right? And the only thing they wanted to do was make discrimination against gay people stop. That didn't mean that they were all liberal or all conservative. That didn't mean they were religious, non-religious. They shared nothing else. You didn't stop supporting this cause or this movement because, oh, I'm a Christian and a lot of people in the gay rights movement were atheists. Or like, oh, I'm left-leaning and I met a lot of right-leaning people in the gay rights movement. Or I'm an environmentalist and these people don't believe in global warming in the gay rights movement. Those are separate things. Did you really think that people that are gay are going to share opinions on everything else just because they share this thing with each other? They're going to have everything else they agree on? No. Are you going to abandon this movement because we disagree on almost everything else other than God? Are we going to abandon this movement? No, it's still a worthy cause. Here's the thing. The point of the atheist movement, and you don't have to be, being an atheist and being part of the atheist movement are separate things, right? You could be an
sure, of
atheist
course.
and not part of the atheist movement. You
Of
can
course.
even be a Christian and support the atheist movement, as long as you believe, or a Muslim and support the atheist movement, as long as you believe that atheists should not be discriminated against for being an atheist. You could support the atheist movement. Even the atheists I disagree with, even the atheists that I think are the dumbest of the dumb, or even racist, or even social justice warriors, even fucking Nazi atheists, right? Whatever, right? Your atheism shouldn't matter when it comes to discrimination and people seeing you less. Atheists that thought that we're better, oh, I thought atheists were supposed to be this and that. No, we're not. We're just, what we're trying to get is to be the same. We just don't want to be looked down upon. We don't want to be discriminated against. We don't want to be isolated. We certainly don't want to be imprisoned, killed, or tortured. We're going to fight against all of these things, even for the atheists that we disagree with, even for the atheists that we find disgusting. And this is a worthy cause and a worthy community to have and a worthy movement to have, even if we don't agree on anything other than the fact that atheists shouldn't be discriminated.
That's what I mean. Now, let me clarify that. I mean, when I say that I don't see I don't see myself as a part of the atheist community, I just say that because I mean, my atheism is not in the foreground. I think it doesn't even matter. You know, it's not important to me at all.
Well, you don't have to. Here's the thing: you don't have to. We are many things. Okay, I'm not just an atheist. I'm a humanist, right? I'm a Game of Thrones fans. Right, I'm a husband, right. There are many things, and I'm also, I care about many. I might care about other things. I care about AI. I don't know, right? And just because you're an atheist, that doesn't mean the atheist movement has to be the activism that you choose to join as a movement, right?
The problem is that many want to push you to that. You know, many, if they find out that you're an atheist, are like, how can you be an atheist if you do this and this and this? You know, that's always my problem with that. I don't understand how people come to that.
But there's always going to be problems with the people in the, like any community that people are like, oh, I was a part of the atheist movement until this. Like, how could you expect that not to happen? You know how many of us are out there, right? You're going to find intelligent people. You're going to find dumb people. You're going to find racist people. You're going to find PC culture people. You're going to find every kind of person that you can think of. You're going to find, right? The thing is that if the hope was that we're going to be better than other people on average, well, then you shouldn't. Then don't join. That's not going to what you're going to find.
Well,
if you think that we're being mistreated and you want to stop that because we're atheists, if you think we're the same as other people, right?
Absolutely.
And then it's worth joining this cause because we are not being treated the same as other people.
I think, I mean, with all due respect, I think that many atheists, even like a growing number of atheists in what they describe as atheist community, have this impression, though, that's
every group has a superiority complex.
Look, I don't think it's I don't think it's a very small number. I don't think it's like
I didn't say it's a small number.
I think it's a huge number of people.
Every group thinks their people are superior. That has that problem.
Not superior. They think that because you share some value with them, you also have to share other values with them.
Yeah.
And criticize
Muslims, scientists, Christians, Hindus, Buddhists, do they not have that problem?
Of course they do.
Right? Even people when they get rights movement, like, oh, I was being part of this movement until I met this and that. Everybody, this is what movements turn into when they become big, right? It's okay not to be part of the movement because you're passionate about something else. But I don't think it's a fair criticism. This is fair criticism of movement because I didn't expect anything else. You know what I mean? This is how every movement will become when it's big enough, right?
I just wanted to make you yell. That's it.
No, right. No, but it's fair to not be part of it. But I don't think it's fair to think that this is a unique problem with the atheist movement.
No, I don't think it's unique. I just think it's there are some Right. I choose my own way. I choose a different way. So.
Right. I mean, I'm a humanist as well, right? But I don't like. I try to use my atheist label because that's the activism that I'm involved with more than my humanist movement. But
Sure.
so here's the thing. Like, for example, let's say a humanist person that is also an atheist decides to use the humanist label more often because that's the activism that they're involved with. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But it's okay to do that. Like, I'm going to call myself a humanist because that's what I want to focus on. But don't shit on your atheist label just because you're not focusing on it. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Yeah. Like somebody goes
I'm just saying, I don't put it in the foreground. I respect what you do, for example.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, I don't shit on my humanist label just because I'm more involved with my atheist activism, right? Or I'm also a skeptic. Not every atheist is a skeptic.
Yeah.
Right. The skeptic movement is different from the atheist movement. I'm a skeptic, but I'm focusing on my atheist label. But somebody might be an atheist and a skeptic, but they're focusing on the skeptic label because that's the movement that they're passionate about. Okay, but don't shit on your atheist movement or shit on it, but I'm going to call you out on it when you do, because there's nothing wrong with the atheist movement. Anyways.
Well, you are one of my favorite atheist activists, especially since the day you said Islam is worse than Nazism. That was like, fuck yes,
I don't even know why that's a controversy. So that's so obvious.
It is. But many people don't want to accept it. Many people don't want to talk about that. But it was so awesome that you said that.
Right.
I felt so happy about that.
Yeah, and people are like, "Oh, how could you say that? How could you say?" I'm like, "How could you fucking not?"
Yeah.
Like, come on, tell me why. What? Like, bring out your argument instead of just being offended. Bring me your argument. Come on, bring it on. I'll challenge you. Any type of metric that you use, any type of metric, except one actually. Islam will win hands down against Nazism.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
I should rename this video in Armin Navabi, Islam is worse than Nazism. I'll do that.
No, do the article, because I think I explained myself in the article very well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, link to my article if you can.
I should do that. Yeah.
Because
Do you want to go into answering questions?
Yes, please. Yeah, let's do that.
Okay, please.
You have a very good live chat. This is good.
Yeah. So, guys, Armin Navabi is going to be answering questions. We're actually both going to do it. I see a lot of chat here. So if you have any questions, please, you can go ahead now.
Beej is here. Beej, I love Beej. Beej is also is on our live chat. He has really great comments. So, guys, support this channel as much as you can, because this is a growing channel, and I really like the work that you're doing. So
some people are having a conversation.
Okay, so here's the thing. I know what happens. Sometimes it's hard to figure out who's asking you a question because people are in debate with each other. So whenever that happens, just do this: tag your apostate prophet whenever you want to make sure that we don't miss a question, right?
Oh yeah.
And usually start asking questions from the very beginning. And just like have a Google Doc open and just copy and paste them so that you have them all ready for the end of the chat. So you get them all starting from the beginning.
Yeah,
but I guess it's
my
hard.
First live event ever, so I'll get into it now. If you see any live questions at the end, so guys, you can start asking questions.
Somebody asked if the admin is an atheist.
Yes.
Oh, you just lost a fan, I think.
What?
Is it on the rise?
I'm unfortunately an atheist.
Fortunately.
Unfortunately, I'm an atheist.
Okay. Tips on how to avoid praying while everyone is forcing you to do it. I'm being extra forced in Ramadan. How to avoid praying? Well, where are you? Are you gonna? Is it like, what are the risks? Are you in Pakistan or are you in Tunisia? My God, we're gonna miss a lot of them. Prophet, what do you think of the Gulenist movement? Do you think that
Gulenist movement?
Yeah, do you think that's like Erdogan's kind of made up enemy to like everything is that,
I think they still work together. I think the government and the Gulenist movement, they still have something together. I mean, I just don't buy that they are like these enemies now and stuff like that.
I don't think they're working together, but I think they're exaggerating how much everything is they're
doing what Iran does to Saudi Arabia, like
right.
enemy.
You should read Animal Farms, and like every problem they have in the country, they blame it on the humans.
Yeah.
Right? So like, it's the human spies or anything. So it's basically something like that. I think.
Mhm.
I think they're like nobody that Turkey is using to imprison everybody that they slightly disagree with. I think Turkey and Egypt are now on the top of the list when it comes to arrested journalists.
Yeah,
right?
Turkey. After this government, I mean, everything got pretty fucked up about freedom of speech, freedom of press.
Yeah. Atheist Rasul, peace be upon you. Oh,
That's
are
me.
you aware of Islamic genocide in India?
Yes, I am. I want to make a video about that. I actually want to make a series about that, like 2 videos or 3 videos, because it's a very, very huge topic. I don't think I would just put all of that in one video. And many people ask me about that. I'll do that sometime.
Are these events after that 8-year-old girl got raped in the temple? Are these recent stuff?
Oh no, it's just historic. It's just
historic. Okay. I thought they were talking about recent. Armin, where does Armin live? I'm in Canada. Is he American or Canadian? I have dual citizenship, Canada and Iran. I don't think Iran recognizes my Canadian citizenship, and I don't give a shit. If I ever go back to Iran, I will make it past the airport. They will hang me. In fact, when my mom got cancer, I couldn't even go see her.
You still have the citizenship though?
Yeah, I have an Iranian passport and Canadian passport. But the thing is that you can't lose your Iranian citizenship. They will always recognize your Iranian citizenship because they consider that they own you, right? So if you denounce your Iranian citizenship and you go back there and they arrest you, like, but I'm not a citizen anymore. You can't do anything to me. They're like, fuck you. We can do whatever we want. We own your ass.
Yeah, Turkey has the same system. I think Anyway. Where does Armin live? Is he American or Canadian?
Yeah, I answered that.
Oh.
What is your so apostate prophet, what is your worldview? Do you believe in evolution, globe, Earth, NASA? What?
What?
Do you think the Earth is round? Like, are people really asking that?
Well, I think I don't know. I think
see, this is what happens when you attack Islam and not other religions. Right? You attract a whole bunch of crazy people.
No. No, that has nothing to do with that.
Right.
Okay, maybe it does. Anyway, so I believe, of course, Earth is flat.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay.
So I'm not this 100% like, oh, science is everything guy. I mean, I do my research all the time. I do research all the time, and I suggest everyone to do the same. Whenever there is a topic about something, a truth that you want to find out, for example, evolution. I made this Zakir Naik video in which I made very much fun of him and analyzed his statements about evolution. And many people came to discuss about whether evolution is real or not. I mean, I came to that conclusion that I came to because I used research and I was constantly honest to myself in that. That's my worldview. I wouldn't associate with any other ideology or anything like that.
Okay. Somebody asked why I became an atheist. Well, when I took Islam seriously, I started reading the Quran and everything. I started taking Islam very seriously, but I still couldn't shake off the idea that my parents are going to go to hell. So, and I watched, like, my family, we watched a lot of American movies, and my dad always watched the BBC. And soccer is very popular in Iran. And I always watched the TV, and I always thought, like, are all these people going to go to hell? Like, I couldn't believe that all these people deserve to go to hell. Like, all these actors and the news reporters and all these soccer players that we celebrate them, and they're all going to go to hell. And I couldn't think, like, how could that be fair? One thing I tried to do is try to maybe convince myself that maybe, like, Christianity is kind of, and other religions are kind of like Islam, but like Islam light, right? So maybe they're not going to go to hell. And one thing I did, I went to my school and went to the library and got this book, which was a translation of a Russian book to Persian, and it was called The History of Religion. And I thought, like, I'm going to be learning about, Christianity and Judaism and stuff. But it started, like, when I started reading it started in, like, the cave, and how, like, people first started having, the earliest, uh, you know, evidence for religion, where people buried their dead and they put gifts around it as if they were still alive, and then it went to Egypt. And I think the history in that book was kind of inaccurate, but it still helped me become skeptical, because everything about religion seemed like political, and it seemed like it kept on changing based on what it was convenient for for whoever was in charge at the time. And it kept on like copying other religions and evolving based on the traditions of the people at that place, and based on what was politically useful. And it just dawned on me, like, is this all made up? Right? Like, what if Islam is also made up? And then as soon as that doubt got in, I couldn't shake it off anymore, right? And I was like, when did I even accept? At what point did I even accept this? Right? Like,
Never.
Why did I ever? And here's the thing: when I actually started doubting Islam, I didn't even know a single other person that doubted Islam. I knew people that didn't take Islam seriously, but nobody even. I never even considered that this could all be fake. So when I eventually became like, I kept on praying to God, like, I don't see why you're real. I don't see any evidence for it. Like, I didn't know about all these other people like Carl Sagan, Richard Dawkins. I just read some history book, and I was like, this could all be made up. And then the more I thought about it, it more became obvious to me that holy fuck, this is all made up. Like, this is a car that I just figured out. I kind of felt like the Truman Show, right? Like, I felt like I just discovered something that everybody around me doesn't know, and I just like I felt like I'm just came out like I'm in the Matrix or something. And then I thought, like, how fucking arrogant can I be to think like maybe I'm crazy? Maybe how do I really think I'm that intelligent that everybody around me is wrong and I figured this shit out? But then I thought, but I felt like, but how could this not be a con? Like, nobody has a reason for why any of this is real, right? So I started talking to some of my friends, and they became skeptical as soon as I talked to them about it. So I like, maybe I am onto something. And then I started an online group on Orkut, and then a whole bunch of atheists joined, and people that were also doubting, and like, wow, there's more of us out there. So maybe I'm not crazy, right? And this is actually how Atheist Republic started, by me trying to figure out if there are more of us out there, right? Yeah.
That was very, very, I don't know, brave actually to do that. Didn't you think about the consequences or anything?
Well, I didn't use my real name online.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well,
nobody else did either.
That came much later. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I used my real name when I left Iran.
Someone asked, "What do you think of the Alevis in Turkey?" I think that Alevis are not Muslims at all. They are totally non-religious. Most of them don't even believe in any god. They just traditionally call themselves Alevi and wear the sword of Ali and stuff like that. But they have absolutely no connection to religion, and they are mostly much more peaceful and friendly than the than the Sunni population.
Are we talking about the Alawites, or is that
no? The not the Alawites from Syria.
What's the Alevi?
The Alevis, it's a loose group of traditional religious people in Turkey. I mean, they don't even have mosques or anything. They just have these little what they call gem houses, where they go in and make weird practices like dancing around for Ali and stuff like that. It's weird, but they are mostly much better and much more peaceful than the Sunni population.
See, I don't think, when it comes to who's a Muslim and who's not, I don't think it has much to do with practice on who's a Muslim.
Mm-hmm.
It has more to do with belief. Islam, this is why you learn that most Muslims are going to go to hell, right? Because you could be a bad Muslim. Just because you're not practicing Islam, it doesn't mean you're not a Muslim.
Oh no, they openly reject the basics of Islam, so they are basically
belief. Yeah, what makes you a Muslim is whether you're not or not you believe in Allah, Muhammad as his prophet, and the Quran as the book, as the word of God. If you fucking believe that, that's why the Shahadat makes you a Muslim. Ashhadu anna la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. Boom, you're a Muslim, right?
And that is why ISIS terrorists are also Muslims.
Right. Yeah. Even if you drink alcohol, have sex before marriage, don't pray, don't fast, it just makes you a bad Muslim.
Yeah.
But still a Muslim. right?
Yeah.
Because the fact that people are like, oh, you're not practicing Islam, so you're not a true Muslim. No, you're still a Muslim. That's why you learn in Islam that most Muslims are going to go to hell.
Mm-hmm. Someone asked, not like I'm promoting Islam, but are you guys aware of the number 7 miracle of the Quran? Do you know
What?
about that, Armin? There is this theory going on by some people, especially by some reformers of Islam, who think that there is this number 7 miracle in the Quran.
We have so many of these numeric miracles.
It's
Yeah,
bullshit. It's
yeah.
total bullshit.
You
You
know
could make
what?
up anything, and you would come to the same conclusion that it's a miracle.
You know, I actually went and counted one time in one of these miracles. Like, I was like, one guy told me, like, how could you deny this? And I actually started building fucking spreadsheets and stuff, right? And then I like, it took me like a whole fucking week. I would build up spreadsheets. It would count the number of yom and the number of this word. And then I went and showed him, like, hey, look, the numbers actually don't match.
Yeah.
And like, I actually counted. Like, apparently nobody went and tested these numbers, right? And they're like, no, you have to count the ones that are don't have the alif lam at the front.
God.
And they're like, well, fuck. And I went and I readjusted it. I like, fuck, you made me waste my time. It still doesn't match, right? Like, and they were like, okay, you have to count the yams that are used in this specific way, but not the yams that are like, fuck you, okay? I wasted like 2 weeks. You could have, right? No, you're not. Your miracle is bullshit, and I'm not gonna count any more words anymore.
People don't even invest the time to look that up. Like
yeah.
to
It's
actually
just like, oh, the number of days matches the number of nights. Oh wow! Like, no, did you check? Did you check? Right.
None of them.
Nobody checks. They just believe you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Do you see any questions?
I don't. I see lots of questions. We missed a whole bunch of questions.
I'm still at the top. Like, I'm trying to get to the bottom. You answered what made you leave Islam.
Yeah.
Someone asked you about the Bill C-75 from the Liberals. Do you know about it?
No. Is this anything to do with the M103, or is this like, let me see, an act to amend the Criminal Code, Youth Criminal Justice Act, other acts that make consequential measures? What is this? What is this overview? Would amend the Criminal Code to reduce delays. No, whoever asked that, can you give us a short summary of this? This is very recent, by the way. It's March.
While we
29.
get that, we can go to I have studied that Prophet Muhammad was illiterate and he was a false prophet. Then who was the person who was writing verses?
Ali and Abu Bakr. Ali, mostly Ali, I think. Ali, so I think Abu Bakr also wrote them, didn't he? Like, he would say it and they would write them.
Yeah, well, a lot of changes in the Quran came much later, though, by
Osman and Aisha.
Yeah. So
I mean, how is that a miracle? People are like, oh, this is a miracle. Muhammad couldn't read and write, and he still brought the Quran. Yeah, but he didn't write shit.
Yeah, we don't even know what was written in the, what he actually said. We don't even know that.
No, let's even accept the story as canon. Okay. I'm just saying, let's accept the stories as it is. Okay. The stories are that Gabriel told the verses to Muhammad. He memorized them, which you don't need to know how to read and write to do. In fact, most Arabs at that time didn't know how to read and write, but most Arabs at that time memorized poetry, right?
Yeah.
Memorizing poetry was a common thing among most people, even though reading and writing was not common. So Muhammad would come down. He would tell Ali, this is what I heard, write it down, and Ali would write it down. How is it a fucking miracle?
It's not.
You don't need to read it. No, like, oh, it's a miracle because Muhammad didn't know how to read and write. Yeah, and he didn't. So where's the miracle?
Did you get this response from Muslims? I have seen it very often. Like, if you look at the Quran, the concept the Quran is written in is basically poetry. It's some form of poetry. It's not directly poetry, but it is basically poetry. It rhymes everywhere. It tries to like fill the lines with completely stupid, nonsensical words and stuff like that. But when you mention to many Muslims that the Quran is basically a poetry book, which it is, then they come to you and they argue about the word poetry because they don't like that word, because that makes the Quran look not serious enough. And then they come to you and talk about, well, it is not poetry, it is just a sign that the Quran is a miracle because it has such a beautiful language and such a nice structure that no one was aware of. Even though, as you said, in that time, everyone was talking about poetry, everyone was doing poetry, everyone was thinking poetry, and not everyone could write. That's not a fucking miracle. It's just
yeah, and actually remembering poetry is it was one way to like keep on the tradition. In fact, I think there's some stories, like I don't know if it was authentic hadith or the less authoritative hadith, that suggested Muhammad actually hated these people that would go around and give poetry. And when the revelation first came, he was like worried that he's going to be considered one of those crazy people that go around and just sing poetry. He even tried to commit suicide. Did you know that?
Yeah. I know about the suicide part. I don't know the backstory.
This is all Khadija's fault, by the way, because Muhammad came down the cave based on the stories, and he thought he was going crazy, right? Nobody told him that it was Khadija that told him that, no, you're not going crazy. You're a fucking prophet, right?
Yeah. Khadija gave him also the power and everything.
Yeah, and I think Khadija was like, based on the stories, I'm not saying these stories are true, but let's go with the story, okay? Khadija was a businesswoman, right?
Yeah.
And she I want to see a version of the story that Khadija was like, okay, my husband's going nuts. How could I turn this into an opportunity instead of a cost? Right? Right? I don't know, but I think if Khadija didn't tell him that, you're not going insane, you're not hearing voices, you're actually the prophet of God, Muhammad might actually seek help or something. I don't know. But this is all Khadija's fault. Khadija invented Islam, not Muhammad.
What a bitch. Two people asked me about pan-Turkism. Why is that such an important matter? Maybe because of my Turkish background. I think it's complete nonsense. It's utter bullshit. It's nonsense, and it's just a stupid wet dream of.
Same as pan-Arabism or pan-Iranianism.
Yeah. Don't let me even talk about it. I will use very, very bad language about that.
It's basically the idea of having an ethno-state, right?
Yeah. It's ridiculous. It's stupid, and will never happen.
I mean, it shouldn't happen. What?
No, it shouldn't happen. It's disgusting. It's worse than a religious state.
I don't know if it's worse than a religious state.
Okay.
But I don't understand why race is such a big. I mean, people care about race way too much. You know, the standard example I give to people why race is such a, not an important concept to build communities and societies based on, and ideas matter more. It's just like, look at South Korea and North Korea, right?
Yeah.
Same geography, same history, same ethnicity, different ideas. The difference is like night and day, right?
Yeah. You can't just do that. You can't just base your nation, your ideology, your flag on just this one race that you belong to, and everything else is not part of you. Because, and even among you, even if you are three people and form a nation of this, because of your race, you three will have huge differences, and then you will end up in conflict. That's what always happens.
Yeah, ideas. We build communities and movements and nations and whatever you want to build based on values and ideas, not based on
absolutely. That's why the West is so beautiful.
Yeah. Well, the Enlightenment movement, they got that. That's what they had going for them.
We
almost had that. The Middle East almost had that if it wasn't for a Sufi called Ghazali.
Yeah. Do you know what's also ridiculous? I saw a lot of Western sources actually praising Imam Ghazali.
Oh fuck.
For being such a scholar.
He was openly anti-intellectual. He wasn't even like shy about it. Like, he's against logic. He's against. He was against thinking. Like, come on, guys.
I mean, he literally insults mathematics. He says mathematics is like has satanic stuff in it and stuff, and distracts you from from the truth and stuff like that. There is a horrible statement that he made in one of his books, and people still see him as some form of scholar.
Right. He's not scholar. He was anti-scholar. Okay, here's a question. Armin, do you think the West as a whole is ignorant of the danger of Islamization? And if so, how big of a problem do you think it is? Well, yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people are, including the West and including the East and including the Middle East. But I think even the people in the West that are afraid of Islam, they are scared of it for the wrong reasons. I think this is not a West versus Islam
No, no.
situation. I think this is a planet Earth versus Islam situation that we're dealing with, right? I think we're all in it together. I think people don't understand that ideas don't recognize borders. I don't think people recognize that the cost of Islam is not just a suicide bombing here and a suicide bombing there. I think they don't understand that the suffering that Islam causes goes way above that, way beyond that. Muslims are the main victims of Islam and not non-Muslims. I think people don't understand that the amount of misery that you could add up together from less interesting, less newsworthy cost of Islam, the amount of people that are separated from the people that they love, the amount of number of people that are ashamed of who they are, the amount of people that don't have the freedom to say what they want or choose who they want to represent them, or are oppressed or imprisoned or tortured in their own countries, or the amount of economical costs. If you add all those costs together, these are not interesting costs. They're not newsworthy, but if you add them up together, they're way more than the suicide bombing that makes it to the news. That's the cost of Islam, and it's going to be a global cost of Islam. It's not going to, just because you have a strong border and Islam is fucking the world, it's not going to mean your country is going to be immune. Okay, the fact that the economical cost of Islam and all other nonsense to the world, you're going to feel it whether you have a single Muslim in your country or not. Okay, this is a plague that our planet is um, this is a disease that our planet is plagued with. Not just because you build borders and you stop you stop letting immigrants from a country, it doesn't mean you're immune from it. It doesn't mean you're immune from it. We have to, a lot of people that are trying to stop immigrants and stuff, they're playing defense. I'm playing offense. Okay, if ideas don't need bodies to cross your borders. Ideas could get to your countries without immigrants coming to your country. If you want to play this game right, stop just waiting in your country of like, oh, not here, not in my backyard. It's gonna come to your fucking backyard. You have to play the office. You have to go where Islam is coming from. Okay, you have to go to the people there. You have to reach out. We have to reach out to their children. That's what I want. I want Muslim kids. Okay, I want to reach out to them, and I want to make them skeptics. I want to give them the tools to question things. Stop playing defense. Stop thinking that you can save your country from Islam if you just stay there and just be like, oh, this is not going to come to my country. You have to play the offensive game. They're coming for us. We have to come for them. We have to go for them. We have to go for them with weapons of reason, and we have to expose their population to our ideas. And that's how you win this game.
So in short, many people are very naive about Islam. Okay.
Yeah.
I had this little question. Just a second.
No, I don't have any tattoos. I do have a burn mark, which I meant to talk to you about.
You still have that?
Yeah, a little bit.
I have some little cuts on my arms because of depressions back then.
Oh, was it Islam related?
Kinda, yeah.
See, this kind of fucking up with your brain is, if you add up all together, I can't imagine. We on the Secular Jihadist podcast, we just had this woman that ran away from Pakistan, and the stuff that she had to deal with seems like torture to me. Okay, and she got away, and I'm like, how many other women in Pakistan have to deal with this shit right now? This is an entire half a population of a country is being, like, at least maybe not the upper class people in Pakistan, but millions of people are being taken hostage right now, and we're not doing shit about it. And we're like, oh, it's just, and like, oh, I like another suicide bombing. Yeah, those are tragedies. Those are horrific. But you know how many suicide bombings happen in Iraq, right? People are like, oh, you're anti-Muslim. I'm like, no, we're anti-Islam because we're pro-Muslim, right? You know who is Islam fucking the most? Muslims.
Yeah.
In fact, if you give a shit about Muslims, you can't be anything but anti-Islam if you care about Muslims.
Because the biggest victims of Islam are Muslims. Yeah.
Are Muslims.
Yeah. What do you think about, the question is, what do you think about circumcision in Islam and circumcision in general, Armin?
Oh, circumcision. Okay, so imagine if this was not the norm, okay? If this was not the norm and then it was introduced today, people would think this is fucking batshit crazy. I swear to you, if this was not the norm and some cult somewhere said, well, you know what they do to their newborns? They cut off a piece of their penises, right? Yeah, all of us would be like, what the fuck? This cult should be, the people should be captured. They should be imprisoned. This is barbaric. What the fuck? How did we not know about this? How did we let this happen? Actually, this whole circumcision thing shows that how influential religion is in our world, even after people leave religion, because religions creeps in many places, even when religion seems to have died out. And the fact that circumcision is such a norm and so accepted, even outside of religious community, the source of this is nothing but religion. There's not a single argument for why we're doing this other than religion.
Yeah.
And the fact that this is now accepted in secular worlds and in atheistic communities, and people are doing that, I think this is just the thing to do. Even after leaving religion, this has no. It shows how powerful this fucking meme is. You know, that you can't even shake it off after. It makes it would be, you know. And here's another thing. Did you know that these babies, they are actually experiencing so much fucking pain while you're doing that because you can't actually give them anesthetics, right? And people are like, oh, well, you're going to forget the pain. Yeah, but you're torturing them at that point. You're torturing little infants.
Which has consequences. It does have consequences.
Even if it didn't have fucking consequences, do you know how much pain in the world is happening as we speak? This is absolute torture. You're taking, if we did that to an adult right now, and they had to go through that much pain without anesthetics, we would be like, this is a crime. But do it to helpless babies that they can't stop you. Like, yeah, they're gonna forget about it, right? Just adding that pain of that many babies together around the world. I tell you that cost of religion is more than all the suicide bombings combined.
Armin, I can assure you, many people who watch you because of the way we yell.
Sorry.
No, it's awesome. It's funny.
FGM, of course. FGM, of course. How? Somebody's like, what about FGM? Yeah, of course. Both of them are barbaric. Barbaric.
I made a video about it only recently.
And no, I'm not saying they're equal just because they're both barbaric. Yeah, go ahead.
No, they're not equal.
Yeah. But they're both barbaric. They both should be a fucking crime.
Yeah. Well, one is massively worse than the other, but they are both barbaric and stupid. No one needs that. And the benefits of male circumcision are so insignificant. You don't need that in your life. You could also mutilate a lot of other things on your body part and say, "Oh, this is for my own benefit. There is
no health benefit. There is zero health benefits, first of all, except to a few, few. And even if there is a fucking, let them decide. Okay, let them grow the fuck up, and then they could decide if they want it. You could chop your hand off if you want it as an adult. Okay, nobody gives a shit if you decide for yourself. Okay, you could chop up an entire arm, an entire leg. Okay, you have the freedom to do that. Nobody's gonna fucking stop you. Do it. Okay, but don't make that decision for someone else.
Yeah, absolutely. What about black people in America converting to? I don't think that those people are Muslims. I mean, black people in America converting to Islam is nonsense. It has nothing to do with black people. It has just
anybody converting to Islam is nonsense.
I know, but I think the question was more asked because of the Nation of Islam and because of related political unions among such people. You know, like when someone grows up in a neighborhood in Chicago and is affected by the Nation of Islam that is right their neighbor, they go and think, oh, this is for my cause, I will join them, and I am a Muslim now, alhamdulillah. Well, first off, they're doing nothing about Islam. They're doing nothing for Islam except hating the West, hating Jews, promising hellfire and physical fire for Jews and stuff like that. Other than that, it's just a political movement. I don't think that they are in any alliance with actual Muslims.
I think they're Muslim if they believe in Allah and Muhammad as the last prophet and the Quran as the word of God.
Of course, they are. I mean, I would consider them Muslims, but I'm just saying that their cause is not Islamic. You know, it's a political movement. I think.
Well, then they share that with most Muslims. Then most Muslims don't give a shit about Islam. I can tell you that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what they do is very.
Muslims have never read the Quran. Okay.
Absolutely.
Most Muslims have never read the book that they think is the word of the creator of the universe. Okay. Just
I want to be careful with this statement, but I think from what I have experienced and seen so far among Jews, Christians, and Muslims, I think Muslims don't read their books at all compared to Jews and Christians. And even if they do it, most of them come and say, well, we read it every day. No, you don't. They read it in Arabic. They recite it in Arabic during their prayers, and no one understands any.
I mean, most Christians don't read the Bible either. But
yeah, but it's still you know, it's taught in their language. They learn it from a very early age in their language.
In Iran, we have most of the Qurans have a Persian translation under it, right? Still, most people don't bother.
Well, I don't know. I mean, from what I have seen in Turkey or among Muslims in Germany, for example, like the Turkish Islam missions in Germany or the Saudi Arabian Islamic embassies in Germany, for example, they don't give a shit about making you understand the religion. They just let you memorize the Quran, memorize parts of the Quran, and that's it. So
hey, somebody said good question. I'm trying to find the question that they're referring to. Amber, good question. Where's the question? Where's the good question?
You can't find that. Give up.
I wanted to see the question that they said it was good. This, all right. What's inside the Kaaba? A lot of people say a black stone. No, that black stone is not inside the Kaaba. It's in the corner of it. Okay, inside of it is kind of like empty.
Yeah, it's empty. There are just those things inside.
There's some decoration stuff.
Yeah.
There used to be idols. According to tradition, there used to be idols there, and both Abraham and Muhammad broke the idols.
Destroyed them.
Destroyed the idols. Yeah,
because Islam is a religion of peace, of course.
Why is Muhammad not respecting other people's religion? Huh? Right? People that ask us.
Well, the thing is,
people that ask us, what? Okay, you don't believe in Muslims. Okay, Muslims like, okay, fine, you don't believe in Islam. Why do you have to be so disrespectful, right? Like, you know, Muhammad went and broke their idols, right? Why, if he didn't believe in their idols, why did he have to be so disrespectful? Why do you have to go break their idols? Huh?
You don't accept it though, because it's
hadith. In fact, us apostates shitting on Islam is sunnah. Right? We're following the way of Muhammad, the way he shit on other people's religion. We're shitting on Islam. We're following the way of the Prophet.
And Muhammad said, if you see something wrong, then go and change it.
I give credit to Ali Rizvi for saying this, by the way. Let me not steal his. Go on.
Okay. Yeah. Credit to him.
Yeah. Go on. Sorry. Go on.
I have no idea what I was saying.
Somebody was saying. Sorry, I interrupted you. Sorry. You said somebody was saying what? Sorry, man.
No, I was just talking about what the fuck was I talking about? Anyway, let's come to questions.
Armin, Duri and Hafs Quran differences. Please talk about that, guys. What is he talking about?
I have no idea. I saw that same comment, but I don't know what it is about.
There are some differences in some Qurans, but the differences are in the vowels and the dots, right? You remember the main part of the Quran is not it's just the letters, right? They consider that part holy, not the rest of it. They in fact they used to put it in different colors. Yeah.
I mean, what do you think about cousin marriage?
Cousin marriage. Just make sure you don't have kids.
Yeah.
I go beyond cousin marriage. I don't think there's anything wrong with incest.
What?
Yeah. What's wrong with incest? What's wrong? What's wrong with it? Tell me. I challenge you.
There have been researches made on it, and it has consequences. It has bad health consequences, like
for the kids, right? But if it's two sisters, they can't have kids.
So okay. Sorry, I missed that part. Yes, right.
Okay, so if two sisters or if two brothers have incest sexual relationship, there's nothing. I can't see anything wrong with it, right?
Well, there is actually nothing wrong with it. Yeah,
there's nothing wrong with it, right? Yeah. And also, if they're straight, if a brother and sister, if they absolutely make sure that they don't have kids, then there's also nothing wrong with it.
Well, yeah.
I see these are taboo stuff that people are like, what
Don't
the
challenge
fuck?
me.
I challenge you. Tell me what's wrong with it. I can't think of anything why people are like, oh, it's gross. Well, then don't do it.
Yeah, objectively, there is nothing wrong with it. Let's make it clear. Objectively,
it's
there's
like
nothing
saying
wrong
like, oh, mushrooms are gross, therefore we should this immoral to have mushrooms. Well, you don't like mushrooms, don't eat mushrooms.
You said it to the right person. I hate mushrooms.
Where's the harm? Where's the harm? Find the harm. Morality means harm. All right.
Oh, Armin, good question. Do you guys believe that Prince Salman really wants to reform? And if so,
no, fuck that motherfucker. Fuck him. Fuck him. People are like, oh, reform. Do you know what the fuck he's doing in Yemen? Do you know how many people this motherfucker has killed? Honestly, like this guy has to cure cancer for it to even be for us to congratulate him for anything. This guy is responsible for the greatest humanitarian crisis of our time. And we're like, yay, here's a medal for letting women drive. If you're pro-woman, why are you not talking about the women that are being bombed, the little girls that are being bombed in Yemen? Do you know how many people this motherfucker has killed? You're talking about the greatest humanitarian crisis of our time, and we're giving like, hey, women can drive in Saudi Arabia now. Fuck this motherfucker. Even in Saudi Arabia, the reform is fucking bullshit. He is doing a power grab. He's arresting more people. He's killing more people in Saudi Arabia, and he's providing cover for it by this shiny stuff in front of us. Like, oh, woman can drive. Oh, I have to do more shitty stuff now. Oh, distraction. What? Oh, women can go to stadium. Oh, now I have to grab more military power. I'm doing another power grab in military. Oh, women can join the military now. Like, how could I distract people while I do my fucking crazy dictatorial shit? This guy is evil. He's very hawkish. And okay, I understand that they're paranoid about Iran, but this guy is killing innocent people. This guy is bombing ports, knowing that this is the way that medicine and food will go to a country that already had a whole bunch of hungry people. And people are like, oh, why you're blaming Saudi Arabia and not blaming Iran? The fuck Iran as well. Fuck United States for their involvement in Yemen as well. And fuck every European country that is involved in Yemen as well. Fuck all of them. But more than all of them, fuck Saudi Arabia. And specifically fuck bin Salman above all of them. This guy, anybody, you know what it's like? It's like if somebody is raping children, right? And it's raping 10 kids in a night and beat their wife. But now they increase their child raping from 10 kids a night to 100 kids a night, but they stop beating their wife. I like, well, at least they stop beating their wife. Like, let's give them a medal for that. What the fuck are you guys talking about? Like, do you guys know what's happening in Yemen? Has anybody have a fucking clue? Is anybody paying attention to what's happening there?
Someone is saying, but they made cinemas, lol. Well, reports show that arrests of human activists are peaking in his time, and people are still talking about how he's reforming stuff. Like, fuck off.
Fuck off. This is, and again, even if all that horseshit was not happening, this is the worst kind of reform that could happen, because this is a reform that is given from the top and could be taken away from the top. This is a top-down version of reform that Reza Shah and Ataturk did, and it just went away as soon as they went as well. You have to change the underlying system. If you don't have democracy, your reforms are just like small little trends that come and go, right? That's the, you need to have a popular, I don't know, this guy is basically going the same route as what Reza Shah did, what Ataturk did, and more importantly what Saddam did. And I think if I'm going to see this kind of secular dictatorship is going to have the same results of what it's going to end the same way as Saddam. I mean, this is This is what happens. You challenge the religious establishment because you want to commit more crimes. You think this is popular among the young people. You're taking some risks. We'll see what happens to him, right? But I don't know. Maybe I don't know what's going to happen with the. I mean, it's not just the Wahhabis you have to worry about, because the Wahhabis there might not say much because of Iran, right? They were like, yeah, we have to worry about Iran right now. But then I don't know if people know you have Muslim Brotherhood there too, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they are organized, but we'll see. But this guy does not deserve a medal. Okay, this guy does not deserve any fucking praise for anything he does. He is killing children. Okay, knowingly killing children. He's dropping bombs on schools, hospitals, mosques, funerals. He is blocking ports from people that are not bringing guns, from medicine, from human, legitimate, world recognized human rights groups, actively on purpose using starving people as a weapon. Okay, this is what these motherfuckers doing. They are starving people on purpose.
What the hell is going on in the questions? People are asking me if I'm going to do a debate with Zakir Naik.
Yeah, try getting that guy.
He doesn't do debates. He doesn't respond to anyone who wants to do debates.
Yeah,
that wouldn't be his. He wouldn't have the control. And
we brought some Muslim fundamentalists for debate on the Secular Jihadist show. We had a guy that was debating with us. We Daniel Hagraju. We brought him on secular. He's a Harvard graduate, Muslim, and he was me and Ali were ex-Muslims, and he's the Muslim. Mm-hmm. Basically, the debate was he was debating why it's okay to kill ex-Muslims under an ideal Islamic state, right? Mm-hmm. And we were debating why it's not okay, right? Mm-hmm. It's very interesting. Go watch it. And if you want, I'll send you a link. But the interesting thing is that I think that if Islam is true, his argument is more solid than the moderates. Mm-hmm. That's the problem with Islam, that he's making more sense than the moderate Muslims. The problem is not the conclusion. The problem is the premise. Mm-hmm. The premises are. This is why I don't go with like, moderating Islam, reforming Islam, blah, blah, blah. If the premises of Islam is true, the fundamentalists are making more sense. They have the logical argument. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. You have to go at this by the root, not try to, because if you accept the premise, the only way you could get to those moderate conclusions is by lying to people, is by deluding people. Mm-hmm. If you don't want to lie to people, if you want to be honest to people, the only way is to go for the root.
Yeah. Someone asked about justifying killing apostates. Before that, I want to come to a question that someone has been asking. Azhar Ahmed has asked 3 or 4 times about the earth being flat according to Islam. Well, it is flat according to Islam. I mean, Islam teaches basically in the Quran, if you put everything together that the Quran says about the shape of the earth, it describes a totally flat earth. It doesn't have any idea about the earth. I'll make a video about that too. I think I implied that in some of my videos before, but I'll do that in the future. And another thing is justifying killing apostates. How is that from God? How do Muslims justify that?
There's a lot of hadiths on that.
Yeah, they very often use this thing like it's like treason, like countries.
No. You're using moderate Muslim. I mean, yeah. Okay, first, you're right. They're like saying it's like treason, like in the United States, or like the punishment for a lot of these things in other countries is death as well. It's not treason, okay? Because I give them a better comparison. It's kind of like denouncing your citizenship and changing your citizenship. That would be more comparable. It's not like you're betraying your country. You're just saying like, oh, I'm not Canadian anymore. Do you get death penalty in Canada for being? And it says a lot about them when they say, how is this okay? Like, oh, it's also a crime in the United States. Okay, so the standard, thank you for admitting that the Western moral values is basically the standard that we're using. So this is what this is. So your argument for why God is doing right is basically modern values of Western countries. Great job. It's not that you have a standard of your own. But the main people that argue this is is basically, I mean, here's what I would think it makes sense if I was a Muslim. Okay. For me as a Muslim, if I was a Muslim, anything that happens to you, anything bad that happens to you in this world, it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
This world is temporary. If I really want to help people, I have to care about their eternal life rather than this life, right? If I feed a hungry person, sure, he's hungry, now he's not hungry anymore. But if I save him from going to hell, I save his eternal soul. Okay? That's much more bang for the buck based on my investment on this guy.
That was exactly my thought, yeah.
Yeah. And in fact, if you're one time I went to a church in Vancouver, I was invited as an atheist, and this Christian guy comes to me and he's like, "So you're an atheist?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm an atheist." He's like, "Don't worry, I'm not that type of Christian. I'm not going to try to convert you." And I asked him, "But don't you think I'm going to go to hell if I die as not a Christian?" He's like, "Yeah, but I don't have to. I don't worry about that. That's God's judgment." Like, wait a minute. So you think that you could save me? Like, I'm going to go to hell if I die and I'm not a Christian, and you're not going to try to help me? Like, how fucking selfish are you, right? Like, if I see somebody almost getting hit by a bus, I'm like, well, it's not my thing. It's a bus driver. Like, I'm not going to even yell like, "Hey, a bus is coming." I'm just going to I'm going to yell at, like, get out of the way. Even if if the guy doesn't listen to me, I'm going to try, right? And these Muslims and these Christians think that I'm going to die as an atheist, I'm going to go to hell. And they're like, right? So I think if you actually believe in this stuff, the most moral thing to do is to try to save as many non-Muslims or non-Christians as you can.
Yeah.
This is why I don't see Muslims that are preaching. Not all of them are dipshits. Some of them actually genuinely care about you, right?
Yeah. I saw that a lot, yeah.
Yes. Some of them are just trying to win arguments and like they're trying to show that they're superior and you're an idiot. But some of them actually care about you. They're trying to save you, right? I appreciate that. Even though I think they're idiots for believing in that nonsense, I appreciate the fact that they care.
I think it's a very small portion, though. I mean,
I don't know, but I appreciate the fact that they care, and I don't appreciate the fact that most of them don't. Yeah. Most of them think that I'm gonna go to hell, and they're not doing shit about it, right?
And they even send you death threats for that, you know.
Well, I mean, no, I'm not. I'm talking about the nice, peaceful, moderate ones that still think you're gonna go to hell, right?
Well, you can get a lot of death threats from moderates too, believe me.
Okay, but the nice ones, right? That think it's not my business. You're gonna go to hell. I'm gonna be nice to you in this world. Well, it's not very nice if you're not even trying to save my eternal soul, right? So if I'm a Muslim and if I have that logic, and if I see like an ex-Muslim publicly. Like somebody is an ex-Muslim, right? And they might advocate more people leaving Islam. Then I might calculate like, okay, killing this person might actually save a whole bunch of souls.
Yeah.
It might save a whole bunch of people from eternal torture. So I would see why that rule would be there. Where we're like, okay, now it makes sense. Why God?
I want to answer some questions in a row. The first thing is that I think I mentioned it before. I'm not into debates. I don't think there is any point in debating people.
I'm into debates.
Okay, whoever wants to have a debate can go to Armin. I don't like debates because I don't think, especially if it's like a debate between an ex-Muslim and a Muslim, I don't think that there is any point in that debate, except for some people, maybe 1% of the audience who listen to that debate. I don't think that's that the two sides of the debate want to actually, I don't know, convince each other or actually
No, you're
look into
missing.
it and
You're
change
missing
each
the.
other. I
You're
don't.
missing the point of the debate. The point of the debate is not is not the other person on the side of the debate. The point of the debate is the
It's the
people
audience.
listen. It's the audience.
I know it's the audience, but I don't think that. I would say that only one person, if at all, cares about the other side's opinion in a debate, and I don't think it's worth going into that.
I think
Because
I've seen a lot of
most-
people change their opinions based on watching debates.
I don't
In
know.
fact,
I think most Muslims, especially Muslims, are not really interested in changing their minds about it. So that's my opinion. I'm not into debates. I won't ever do that, I think.
Well, no, you don't have to do it if it's not your cup of tea. But
Mm-hmm.
I do think that when somebody's watching a debate, they think like, okay, I'm gonna get both sides now. I'd like skeptic. Like, here's the thing: most people will not change their opinions, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there are a lot of people that are looking into changing their opinions. They're being skeptical, right? And even though if 99% of people are not going to change their opinions, the fact is that 1% are people that are actively looking for content, because the people that are skeptical, they're actively looking for content, right? And those skeptical people usually love debates because they think like, this is not me being brainwashed, because this is two people with two different opinions. So this cannot be brainwashing, right? So I know that both sides are being represented in the same video. Even if it's being, one of side is doing a crappy job, it's not intended to be brainwashing. You know what I mean? That's why
I get the point. Yeah.
Right. Let me say.
Did I interrupt you?
No, some people. I saw one question that I wanted to answer, but
there were a lot of questions about God, guys. I don't believe in anything, but I appreciate it. Really.
Appreciate God?
Yeah, no, not God. Good wishes by people. That's what I mean.
Right. Yeah. Whoever is wishing here is saying, God bless us and stuff. Well,
how can I not believe in God but then appreciate God? That's the...
no. I just say like we'll also.
Yeah. That was the wrong choice of
may
words.
the force be with you as well. Same thing.
I was gonna say about that thing that
somebody is asking what's inside this juice. One of them is water, one of them is lemonade.
That's a very interesting question. I was going to say about the apostasy thing, about the treason example, that not only very stupid people give that example, Zakir Naik gives that explanation as well. And
but he's not very. You consider him not a smart person? Have you listened?
No. I'm saying, not only those moderate Muslims who know nothing about Islam say that. Zakir Naik, for example, says that too. He also says that it has to do with treason. And there are two YouTubers. I won't say their names. I'm not into targeting individuals. There are two YouTubers on YouTube. They're very popular Muslims. They are those funny ones who cry about women not wearing the hijab, or who... Don't say his name.
The treason argument is such bullshit argument. It's like, me changing my opinion about something is the same as treason.
Yeah, what the fuck,
But it's not only about treason. What's like even treason? We don't think. At least I don't think it deserves a death penalty.
It doesn't.
Nothing.
Yeah. But that's the most bullshit example that I've ever heard.
Yeah.
Okay. We have to wrap it up slowly.
Yeah. I saw a lot of good questions that passed by. I should have written them down. That's fine. Oh, shout out to Vidu Vids. Yes.
Shout out to Vidu Vids. He makes great videos. He makes a great impressions of Zakir Naik. It's hilarious.
Yeah. When his Facebook page went down, did he get it back?
I don't even know.
We covered the fact that he lost his Facebook page on Atheist Republic News.
I never check Facebook ever. It's
Atheist Republic News, by the way, check that out. It's a weekly news coverage on both YouTube and podcast. Yes. On basically, we cover the latest news on religion, atheism, secularism every week. Imam Tawhidi said Aisha was like, that's fucking bullshit. Okay, every single hadith says specifically that Aisha was 6 when she got married to Muhammad, and she was 9 when Muhammad had sex with her.
Okay. Imam Tawhidi is just He disagrees with how Islam is. That's why he rejects all the things in Islam that he disagrees with. So he wants to reform Islam. It's no wonder that he says she was actually 19, because he's not interested in saying that she was actually 6 when they married.
Right. Anyways, I don't. Here's another thing about reformers is that they're coming up with excuses for a book that advocates wife beating, advocates slavery, advocates
sex slavery,
and other forms of slavery, advocates the torture of people that don't believe in an ideology. And there is no excuse for such a book. Yeah. There is never, and the fact is that this is what my problem with reformers. If it's that difficult for you to throw away a book that advocates for such barbaric values, then I don't know what, no other book will ever have this much excuse made for it. Okay, it would be so easy for any one of these people to point at a book that is talking about how you should treat your slaves or how you should beat your wife, and point to that book and say, this is obviously a book that should not be followed in our modern world today. And all these reformers, all they're doing is pointing to this similar book, and only because it has the label religion on it, they're making excuses for it. And it does not deserve any excuses. This is a very simple, bar to pass. It's a very simple requirement to be I'm against the Quran because I'm against slavery. I'm against the Quran because I don't think people that disagree with a book deserve to be tortured. I'm against the Quran because I don't think wives should be beaten simply because you fear disobedience from them. It's a very easy thing to say, and these reformers are making excuses for such a book. Absolutely. It's a book that does not deserve defending. Absolutely. And reform is not only not helping, is hurting.
It's counterproductive.
It's counterproductive because this is an ideology that needs to die. Islam needs to die, and reformers are slowing the process.
Absolutely.
They're providing cover. They're providing cover for a dangerous ideology.
Thank you. Here's a final question, Armin. I'll let you talk about this, and then we'll have to end the conversation. I have a few Muslim friends that lack of deep understanding of the religion they are proud of. How do I start a conversation about the reality of Islam without coming off the wrong way? What are your suggestions for that? That's a big problem with Muslims.
Say that again. Repeat that. They're saying, but that being...
I just say Muslims are usually very sensitive and ignorant about Islam itself. How do I make them aware of the reality of Islam without pissing them off, basically?
Okay, here's what I do. Okay, so what I say to them is like, look, if Islam is true, atheism is a very dangerous ideology. We have to admit that, okay? And if a Muslim wants to go out and fight atheism because they care about atheists, that's a kind thing to do. Okay, if you're saying atheism is a dangerous ideology and it's going to rob people from their eternal happiness, and if Islam is true, the moral thing to do is to try to go out and fight atheism by reaching out to atheists, by befriending atheists, and try to convince them of Islam. And you fighting atheism is not because you fight atheists. You fighting atheism is because you care about atheists, because you don't want them to suffer. And then a lot of moderate Muslims, but I don't preach Islam to atheists. I let them be like, whatever you decide. I'm talking about the Muslim that does decide to go fight atheism. I think that's based on if his belief is true, he's doing something right. He's doing the right thing. He or she is being morally true to their ideology. And you can't blame that person for caring for atheists and trying to save them. Okay?
Yeah.
And if you see it that way, so if Islam is wrong, if there is no God, then you have to understand from the same perspective, Islam is robbing people of the one life they have. It's making people sacrifice this life for an imaginary one. It's making people make decisions based on false information. And that would make Islam, if there is no God, that means Islam is a dangerous ideology.
Great.
And saying Islam is a dangerous ideology, just the same way you saying atheism is a dangerous ideology, is not anti-atheist. Saying Islam is a dangerous ideology would not be an anti-Muslim. In fact, you could see it as from a point of compassion, from a point of caring for Muslims. Even if we're wrong, even if you're right and we're wrong, and Islam is true and atheism is wrong, please consider the fact that we might be coming from a position of trying to help rather than hurt.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. All right, that's it. We're going to have to end this here. Thanks, everyone, for watching. You know where you can find me. You are here already. I make videos about Islam every Wednesday and Friday as far as I can, and the support has been great so far. Thank you all so much. Armin, where can people find you? Everyone knows it already, but still.
Just Google Armin Navabi, and also Google Atheist Republic. We're everywhere. Atheist Republic is right now the world's largest platform from atheists in the world. It has almost 2 million followers worldwide, and we're growing between 10,000 to 20,000 a week.
Awesome.
Yeah. So, if you want to support that, go ahead and follow us there. Even if you're not an atheist and you think atheists do not deserve to be discriminated against, please feel free to support us. For people, we have Atheist Republic has 3 podcasts, and I also have the Secular Jihadist podcast. Secular Jihadist podcast is a podcast that I have with another amazing ex-Muslim, Ali Rizvi, and we basically cover topics related to Islam most of the time. So if you're interested in that kind of topic, check the Secular Jihadist podcast. Atheist Republic has 3 podcasts. One of them is the Atheist Republic Voicemails, which has no host. Atheists from all around the world leave voicemails for us on the atheistrepublic.com, and it's just a podcast from voicemails that just plays from. You basically get messages from atheists, their problems, their concerns, their fear. We got one voicemail was from this Muslim that was saying, "I'm escaping my house as I speak. I just came out to my parents and they're going crazy and I'm just running away. I'm getting into the car." And he was just leaving a voicemail as he was running away, right? Wow. So a lot of them are afraid to die and are just leaving voicemail asking for help. If you want to leave a message of support, just go to atheistrepublic.com, leave a message of support for atheists around the world. Then we have the Atheist Republic News, which is like a weekly news coverage. And then we have Atheist Republic Discussions, which is another podcast, which is similar to this one, which is we tackle different topics. And also this are you going to release this in a podcast form? If you want, I could walk you through it. It's really easy. I mean, if you're making YouTube videos off of it,
I won't really go into that.
Okay.
I don't think
if you ever decide to release, extract the audio and release it in a podcast form, talk to me because I could show you how it's done. It's very easy.
I might do that sometime in the future. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Someone said, please press the like button. Otherwise, Zakir Naik will visit you at home in the shower.
Oh yeah, like this. Yeah. And if you're watching, here's another tip. Ask a question for people to comment in the non-live version of this. And if you want to support this YouTube channel, leave a comment because that's really going to play with YouTube's algorithm. So creators that you want to support, leave comments in their YouTube under YouTube videos. That's really going to help their channel.
Thank you.
Ask a question first for people to answer. What do you guys think? What do you think we should ask for people to answer in the comment section?
Well,
what do you guys think about the reform movement, Islamic reform movement? Leave your comments below.
Also, just if you want to put more questions in the comment section, for Armin, for me, for others, you can do that too. I will have another live video next week with another guest that I announced before, that I will announce later.
Oh, you can announce it now?
I'll have to confirm it and then I'll announce it.
Okay. If it's the person I think it is, she's amazing. Okay. So you have really high quality guests. High quality.
I agree.
Hassan is saying come to Qatar. Hassan in live chat is saying come to Qatar. Hassan, Qatar is too close to Iran. I might get kidnapped. I don't know. I don't know how many Iranians, the government, how many of government officials are from Iran or Qatar. Qatar and Iran are too close for me to go to Qatar. Yeah.
All right. I didn't want to do this, but someone reminded me to end the video the way I end all my videos. I won't do that. This is a live video. Come on.
No, do it. What do you do?
I end all my videos with "Stay away from Islam," and then it just goes into the music. Okay, let's do it here too.
Okay.
All right. Thank you all very much, guys. Thank you, Armin, so much for joining me here. It was very interesting to hear your views on everything. I said I agree very much with you on very many things, and even though I disagree so much with many others who do the job you do. So, all right, that's it. Thanks, everyone.
And stay away from Islam.
Have a great night and stay away from Islam.